We're here to share the story of a world that's full of light.
Doesn't help either. Some pastor will even preach to forgive and forget. Some imam will say it's not proper to speak against elders. So the girl's pains become a burden to hide because no one will believe her or take her serious. See, let me be blunt here. And I need to let people know that if your peace requires a child silent, it is not peace, it is a prison. If your family unit depends on ignoring abuse, it's not unity, it's cover up. And if a society continues to side with the abuser out of fear, pride, or shame, then we've built a system that feeds on our daughter's innocence. So what do we do now? Again, heavenly good. We shatter the silence. We redefine loyalty, not to family name, but to the truth. We train parents that believing your child is more sacred than protecting your brother, your husband, or any name anywhere. We rebuild school that prioritize consent education and reporting system. And we teach girls that their body is not currency. Heavenly good. There is a sad story I need to tell you today. One that still shakes me every time I remember it. And it's one of the reasons every day I'm so grateful to God we got you and your siblings out of Nigeria when we did. Because, my daughter, if we had stayed, this story could have been me. I used to have a friend. His name was Frederick Olorunfemi. A very good man. A devoted father. He was the one who helped plan our 5th wedding anniversary trip to Dubai in 2019. He handled everything from visas to hotel. Everything good. In 2023, Nigeria failed him. Worse, it buried his death with silence and shame. What happens to Femi? Femi's 7-year-old daughter came home from school one day and dropped a bombshell no father should ever hear. I think she's attending this school, Loyal School in Ijushaga, Lagos, Nigeria. Do you know what the girl says? Daddy, the school bus driver touched me. He took me to his house. He said I was his wife. He kissed me. Heavenly good. That is a kind of revelation that shakes a man's soul to his foundation. Femi, being a real father, not just a sperm donor, he did what any protector would do. He didn't wait. He went straight to the school to confront the predator and informing the school management. Femi was ready to take it to the police station. But the school owner begged him, and I said it when I heard of his death. I said Femi made the greatest mistake in his life by going to the school first. So the school owner was begging him on phone, come to the school, let us resolve it internally. So he went with his daughter and his wife with a heart full of righteous fire. But that fire cost him his life in front of his child, right there in the school compound. Heavenly good, Femi confronted the bus driver. His name is Jacob, yes. Tension rose, voices escalated. Then Jacob, the driver, pushed Femi. Femi fell. By the time he hit the floor, he was gone. A father lost his life because he dared to speak up against a child molester. And what did Nigeria do? The school reopened after a week. Nothing happened. The abuser faced no consequences. The school owner, protected by wealth and connection, walked free. And the police bought and silenced with a bribe. Femi's daughter, she lost her father. His wife lost a partner. That family lost their provider and protector. And Nigeria lost its soul again as it used to be. This is not an isolated story. Private schools across Nigeria are drowning in reports of molestation, abuse, and sexual violence. Yet, nothing happens. Why? Because the school owner know people. Because money speaks louder than dead fathers. Because in Nigeria, protecting institution is more important than protecting children. Heavenly good. A father died fighting a pedophile. And the pedophile is still employed. The school is still running. And the system is still broken. This is not just a tragedy. It's a national disgrace. Frederick Olorunfemi is a martyr in a country that buries justice under corruption. Femi stood up to a predator. He fought for his daughter and he died doing what every real father should do. But Nigeria failed him. Heavenly good. I'm not telling you this story to make you afraid. Nope. You are safe. But to fight, to use your voice to speak for girls who still live in silence in Nigeria. Because we either fix Nigerian broken system or we keep burying more fathers, more daughter, and more truth. We need to hold institutions accountable for every silence they endorsed against children. If we don't, then more girls will whisper, "My parents said I was trying to break the family apart." And that's not just a quote, that's a cry for help.
Oh, Dad, this is heartbreaking. May his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
Dad,
Yeah?
you always say Nigeria is full of laws that mean nothing. And it shows, because the Child Rights Act was passed in 2003 and is still not adopted by 11 states. There's even a whole federal law that criminalizes child abuse. But Dad, nobody goes to jail. You spent over 40 years in Nigeria. Dad, tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Why hasn't the Nigerian government done anything serious to end child grooming? And why does silence seem more powerful than law?
A country that has not been able to do something about the real abuse. The one that there's evidence, 100% evidence. Heavenly good. You ask me, why hasn't the Nigerian government done anything serious to end child grooming? And you are asking, why does silence seem more powerful than the law? See, let me tell you something that we ought. But you must know it. In Nigeria, the law is not a shield. It is a stage prop. I've been saying this for a very long time. It exists for decoration, not protection. Let's start with the Child Rights Act 23. On paper, beautiful. It set 18 as the legal age for marriage. It criminalizes child abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Upholds a child's right to education, dignity, and protection. But here is the scam called law. Nigeria is a federation, so every state must domesticate the act individually. Guess what, my daughter? After 20 years, 11 states refused. Why? Because cultural and religious elites said no, and the federal government bowed down instead of standing up. So what does that mean? Heavenly good. It means in those states, the same country that criminalizes child marriage at federal levels turns around and permits it at the state level. Baby girl, that's not law. That's legalized contradiction. That's hypocrisy. Now, let's even leave law and let's go to enforcement. There are laws against sexual violence, and there are laws against child trafficking, and there are laws against indecent assault. Yet, Nigeria has one of the lowest child abuse conviction rates in Africa. Do you know why? Because the legal system is built for the rich. It's built for the connected. It's built for the abusers, never the child. A man sexually molested a 9-year-old and is granted bail faster than a petty thief stealing bread. That's what happened in Nigeria. A teacher demands sex from a 15-year-old girl for grades and the school transfer him instead of reporting him. That's Nigeria. Even when the case gets to court, it can drag for 10 years with no justice in sight. Heavenly God, don't get me started with the police force. Is it a police station where you go to report abuse and the first question they ask victim is, are you sure it really happened? Those ones treat survivors like liars and abusers like victims. They demand money for investigation. And if the abuser has more money than you, the victim, case closed, files will disappear. Walk into any police station in Nigeria and ask the officers, what is grooming? Or what does consent mean? Watch their faces twist in confusion like you just spoke Greek. Don't try to laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's terrifying. And these are the same men in charge of protecting children. Yet many of them can't even define the very crime they are supposed to investigate. Heavenly God, you can't give what you don't have. You can't enforce what you don't understand. And that's why predators roam free. Why victims get blamed in Nigeria. In 2021, Nigeria was ranked 129 out of 139 countries in the Rule of Law Index. That means we are globally recognized as a country where law exists but don't work. And the biggest joke of them all is the Constitution. It says every citizen is equal under the law. No discrimination based on sex, age, and religion. Yet, the same Constitution allows states to implement Sharia and customary laws that directly contradict children's rights. What kind of country is that? So, if a 12-year-old is married off in Kano, it's not child marriage, it's religion. If a girl is molested by a pastor, it's not abuse, it's spiritual leadership. See, we don't have one justice system. We have multiples. And children fall through every crack. So, why does silence seem more powerful than the law? Because in Nigeria, silence has structure. Silence has money. Silence has protection. But the law is just ink on paper. Heavenly God, in Nigeria, silence is backed by corrupt judges, bribe police, powerful families, religious gatekeepers, and culture that teaches girls to endure and forgive. So, my daughter, the truth, even though it's bitter, is this. Nigeria has no shortage of law. What it has is a shortage of political will, moral courage, and judicial integrity. And until the law is stronger than the tradition, until the law is stronger than religion, until the law is stronger than money, the system will continue to protect abusers and bury victims like Femi. And let me say it plainly. You can't pass law for children and permit culture for abusers. You can't preach justice on paper and practice compromise in court. If the Nigerian government truly want to end child grooming and child abuse on a large scale, they will arrest imams marrying 10-year-old now. They will jail teacher who molest students now. They will shut down schools that cover up abuse. And they will fund child protection, not election. But they won't, because grooming isn't just happening in Nigeria. No, it's being protected by Nigeria. This is why we speak. Heavenly God. This is why we start this show. Because silence has ruled too long. And it is time the law did more than just look good. It must finally do good. And we won't stop, like I always say, until the real change comes.
Dad.
Yes?
Culture should preserve life, not destroy it. And yes, Nigerian movies still romanticize old men and young girls. Songs still sexualize teenagers. People still say it's our tradition. And then we act shocked when abuse happens. Dad, my final question is this. How do we change the story? How do we confront tradition, challenge media, wake up the church and the mosque, change the laws in school? And most importantly, how do we protect the next generation of Nigerian girls from grooming disguised as love?
See, my daughter, you are absolutely right. Culture is meant to preserve life, not to destroy it. But in Nigeria, we've twisted that truth. Instead of preserving our daughter, our culture is used to excuse harm. You just said the truth. Movies still paint troubling relationship between grown men and teenage girls as romantic. Music still places teenagers all around the world in the middle of hypersexualized lyrics and visuals. And when the child speak up, we still hear the same dangerous words. It's our tradition. Then we pretend to be surprised when harm occurs. Heavenly God, how do we change this story? You ask the most important question in this show, and I will answer it step by step. Number one, we must reframe culture around protection, not pain. Let's be clear. Not everything handed down to us by our forefather qualifies as tradition worth keeping. Child marriage isn't heritage, it's a violation of rights. Grooming isn't affection, it's exploitation. Silence victim isn't preserving the family, it's perpetuating generational harm. You see, we must re-image culture as something that uplifts children, not sacrifices them. Number 2, we must demand accountability from media. Nollywood films frequently portray relationship between older men and teenager girls. Older men and teenage girls as romantic rather than exploitative. That's dangerous. Media shapes the mind. When stories glorify power imbalance and inappropriate relationship, do you know what happened? They don't just entertain, they normalize harm. So in this, we must challenge filmmakers, artists and producers to stop romanticizing harmful dynamics. Every parent needs to let them know that they should stop casting teenage girls as romantic partners for older men. Stop promoting content that desensitize the public to exploitation. Start telling stories that protect children, not expose them. And number 3, we ask more of our religious leaders. We need to. They are not God. Leaders performing underage marriages, citing scriptures while ignoring the laws. Faith communities should be safe place for children, not places where harmful practices are excused or hidden. Religious leaders must speak clearly against grooming and early marriage. In Nigeria, they must stop using selective interpretation to justify harm. And they must model accountability, because silence only protects the wrong people. Heavenly God, if a leader won't protect the vulnerable, they shouldn't lead. Number 4, we must transform schools from quiet observers into defenders of children. See, only 12% of Nigerian schools teach consent. 70% lack proper reporting system for abuse. That should alarm every parent now. How do we expect children to speak up when they've never been taught what's right and wrong? Every school in Nigeria must teach age-appropriate consent education. Appoint and train designated safeguarding officers. Implement real system for reporting abuse and taking action. See, if a school can't answer, who is your safeguarding officer? That school isn't safe. That school needs to be closed down. Number 5, we must take our laws off the shelf and put them into action. The Child Rights Act has been law since 2003, but 11 states still haven't adopted it. The Violence Against Persons Prohibited Act exists, yes, but implementation remains weak. Our constitution promises quality, but parallel system of law allows exceptions. Law must not be suggestion, they must be applied. Every state must fully adopt and enforce the Child Rights Act. Create clear consequences for grooming, exploitation and abuse. They must train police, teachers and leaders to recognize and respond to violations. Without enforcement, even the best law in the world are just empty promises. And lastly, we must empower the next generation with education and voice. Like you. This is what every parent should be doing. Not putting those kids on social media and making them half naked and start dancing to all sorts of nonsense of music that dehumanize them. Nobody is teaching Nigerian girls real education. Nobody is telling them how their body belongs to them. Nobody is teaching them their rights. They don't know. Nobody. This is what we need to be doing. Children in Nigeria aren't taught about bodily autonomy or how to report abuse. They don't. That's not just a failure. That's a setup. We must teach every child that they have the right to say no to anybody. We must teach every girl in Nigeria that affection should never be forced, coerced, or confused with fear. We must teach every boy in Nigeria that true strength is found in protection, not power over others. So how do we protect the next generation from grooming disguised as love, as you ask? Heavenly God, we teach, we challenge, we correct, we act. We do it by making sure no child is left alone. unheard, or unprotected. We do it by exposing the system that fail children and build the ones that defend them. And if we truly want to preserve our culture, then we must first preserve our children. Because no tradition is sacred if it costs a child their safety, dignity, or future. That, heavenly good, is how we change the story. And that change begins with every single one of us. Me and you that you are watching and listening to us. This is a call to action. This is a challenge on every adult in Nigeria. We need to change the story for our coming generation.
We've heard enough today. We've been educated. A lot have been exposed. Our eyes have been opened. Now, let me say this loud and clear. Grooming is not just what happens in dark rooms. It's what happens in daylight, in classrooms, in churches, mosques, and even homes filled with laughter. Grooming is when a man says to a little girl, "You're my future wife." It's when your uncle always wants to carry your daughter on his lap. It's when a teacher offers private tutoring only for girls. It's when a pastor says, "God showed me you're meant for me." Grooming is not always violent. Most times it's gentle, manipulative, and planned. It starts with jokes, compliments, gifts, isolations, trust, and before a child knows it, they're trapped between fear and confusion, not knowing how to scream for help. Grooming doesn't always begin with a touch. It begins with a mindset. It begins with adults who doesn't set boundaries. It begins with communities that silence victims and protect abusers. It begins with songs, films, and conversations that blur the line between affection and abuse. And what does grooming cause? A generation of girls who grow up believing love equals pain. A generation of boys who think dominance is romance. Children walking around with scars you cannot see because the abuser wasn't always physical, but it was always real. Grooming kills childhood. It kills trust. It kills future. That's why every man and woman must rise. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, imam, pastor, media creator, and neighbor, you must understand what grooming is, how it sounds, how it feels to a child. You must recognize it in a suggestive joke, an inappropriate compliment, a harmless lapse, a secret gift, a delay in returning from school, a change in a child's behavior. So as a female teacher, if you ever hear your male colleague making sexualized comments to an SS3 girl, saying things like, "You really developed at the front and back," you don't laugh, you don't stay silent. You confront it immediately. You say it clearly. That is not a compliment. That is grooming. Because when you stay silent, you give permission. When you laugh, you validate it. But when you speak up, you protect that child and you stop a predator in its tracks. Every inappropriate comment, every lingering stare, every suggestive joke, it all adds up to grooming. And we must name it exactly as it is. You must be bold enough to call it out, even when it comes from someone you love or respect. Because silence is not neutral, it's participation. The protection of the children is not optional, it's a sacred duty. And until every adult understands what grooming really is, until we recognize that even casual speech and action can groom, until we remove every tradition, custom, and law that allows it to thrive, then the story won't change. The cycle won't break. And another child will be hurt while we look the other way. But I refuse that future. We at the Onaolapo Show refuse that future. So let's start protecting children. Not when they cry, but before someone ever makes them feel unsafe in the first place. Because the gracious love we can show to children is protection, and the gracious war we can fight is against silence. Let this be the generation that ends grooming, not excuses it. And we start now. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Spread it, share it, be the voice that protects. Tag a parent, a neighbor, a colleague, anyone who cares about children. Follow us on all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at the Onaolapo Show. Comment and join the conversation. Let your voice be part of the movement, and don't forget to visit our website at www.theonaolapo.org for more powerful resources and to watch other eye-opening videos. Because protecting children is not a trend, it's a responsibility. Together, let's break the silence and change the story in our beloved country, Nigeria. Bye!